Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're navigating the world of decentralized governance. Specifically, we're looking at the Jito Network.
That's right.
Now, you probably know Jito from Solana. It's not just about liquid staking with Jito Health, though that's a big part, letting users get MEV tips and rewards.
And those MEV tips can be quite significant.
Exactly. But Jito's also doing interesting things, under the hood with block organization, trying to make Solana more efficient.
Absolutely. And that's why its governance really matters. How it's run impacts, well, quite a bit in the Solana ecosystem.
So the governance, it's not just technical stuff, is it?
No, not at all. It extends right into how the project is steered. You've got the Jito Foundation providing support, but the real power, that lies with the JTO token holders.
Through a DAO, right, a Decentralized Autonomous Organization.
Precisely. Think of it like a community-run system, where holding JTO gives you a say in where things are headed.
Okay, so our mission today is really to unpack that, to look at the constitution, basically, of this Jito DAO. How do these token holders actually, make the decisions for the network and the foundation?
Yeah, we're looking at how power works here, the decision-making mechanics in this decentralized setup. It's the blueprint.
And we've got the documents to guide us.
We do. We're looking at the main constitution, the foundation's bylaws, and their formation documents, the official memorandum and articles of association, all public, very transparent.
Great. So where do we start? How does change actually happen?
Well, the main engine for that is something called Jito Improvement Proposals, JIPs.
JIPs, okay.
Well,
Sounds like the core way the community gets involved. How does a JIP come about?
yeah, JIPs are definitely the lifeblood. It's the primary way for anyone in the community to suggest changes. And that could be changes to governance, to operations, even to the core Jito Network protocol itself.
So taking an idea and making it real.
Exactly. It all starts with a community discussion, usually on their forum, forum.jito.network.
Yeah.
Anyone can toss an idea out there, get feedback, questions.
Like a digital town square.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of guidance. A DAO moderator, or initially the administrator, checks if the idea fits into certain categories: treasury, protocol development, structure, process, operations.
So it's not a total free-for-all. It keeps things somewhat focused.
Right. And they check if it roughly follows the proposal guidelines, just to give the discussion some direction.
Okay, so an idea gets talked about, maybe get some traction. What's next?
Then it moves to proposal drafting. The author needs to formalize it using a specific template.
A template, what's in that?
It's pretty detailed. Title, category, and abstract, like a short summary, then the why, the motivation. Key terms defined. There's actual plan, the specification.
Specification, so the nitty-gritty details.
Exactly. Plus, they need to outline the benefits and the risks, the desired outcomes, a cost summary if it involves money.
Especially for treasury stuff, I guess.
Right. Treasury proposals also need performance milestones, ways to track if it's working. And crucially, they need to show how they've used the community feedback from that first discussion phase.
So it forces proposers to really think things through and engage with the community.
It does. It's about building a solid plan, not just a vague idea.
Okay, proposal drafted. What happens when it's posted?
Once it's officially posted on the forum, a 30-day proposal discussion period kicks off.
30 days, that seems like a decent amount of time.
It is. It's meant to let everyone really scrutinize it, debate it, find weaknesses, really understand it before any voting happens.
Is that 30 days pretty standard in the DAO world? Does it slow things down too much?
That's a good point. It is fairly common. The idea is thoroughness, more eyes, potentially better proposals. But yeah, the trade-off can be speed. It's definitely slower than a centralized decision. It's a balance.
Right, balancing speed and deliberation. So after 30 days of talk, how does it actually get put to a vote?
Okay, after the discussion, if the proposal seems solid and meets a minimum requirement the proposer needs to have delegated to them at least 250,000 JTO tokens.
250K JTO.
Okay, yeah, then they can submit it via Realms. That's the on-chain governance platform, gov.jito.network. It's where the actual voting happens.
But not immediately. Is there another check?
Yes. Before voting starts, the foundation administrator reviews it. They check for practicality, technical safety, and really importantly, legal compliance, especially with Cayman Islands law, since that's where the foundation is based.
A crucial safety net to stop anything, well, dangerous or illegal.
Exactly. It's a necessary check.
So assuming it passes that review, voting time.
Voting time. JTO holders get 3 days to vote yes or no.
3 days, and then it's decided.
Almost. There's an interesting twist. A 2-day delay period after the vote ends.
A delay period. What for?
During those 2 days, anyone who voted yes can change their vote to no.
Really? Change their mind after voting? Have you seen that make a difference elsewhere?
It's less common, but it exists. It's like a final cooling off period. Maybe some last-minute info came out or people just had second thoughts. It could potentially stop a proposal that looked good initially, but revealed flaws late in the game.
Fascinating. So it adds a bit of final uncertainty, maybe.
It can, yeah. The downside is it could potentially be gamed, but the idea is an extra layer of caution. If after that delay period, no votes are higher than yes votes, the proposal fails.
Okay, quite a process. So if it makes it through all that discussion, review, vote, delay, what's the final step?
Implementation. If it's an on-chain code change, it can often be executed right away through realms once the periods end. Anyone authorized can trigger it.
And for off-chain stuff, like spending treasury money.
For things requiring action from the foundation, like grants, partnerships, etc., the administrator works with the relevant people to make it happen, and they have to post bi-weekly updates on the forum about the progress, keep everyone in the loop.
Transparency is key there. Now, throughout this, are there any hard rules proposals must follow, besides the Cayman law thing?
Definitely. All proposals have to align with the core principles in the foundation's bylaws. And yes, Cayman Islands law is non-negotiable. Anything violating those can be rejected outright or even vetoed later by the Security Council.
Which we'll get to. So there are firm guardrails.
Yes, it's decentralized, but within a defined legal and ethical framework.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the voters, the JTO holders. How does the voting actually work, the parameters?
So the initial setup is that 3-day voting period, the 2-day delay period we just discussed. To submit a proposal, you need that 250,000 JTO proposal threshold.
And for it to pass?
For it to pass, two things. First, more yes votes than no votes, obviously. But also, a voting threshold must be met. At least 3% of the total JTO supply has to vote yes.
3%, that's 30 million JTO? Is that high? Low? What does that mean practically?
It's meant to ensure significant buy-in, not just a tiny fraction making decisions. But, like you implied, 3%. Well, in many token distributions, a few large holders might control a lot. So hitting 3% doesn't automatically mean thousands of holders agree. It's a way to ensure some weight behind the decision, but doesn't completely solve potential concentration issues.
Yeah, that's always the challenge with token voting, isn't it? The distribution of power.
It is a constant balancing act.
And individual voting power.
Simple. One GTO equals one vote. Your influence is proportional to your stake.
Straightforward. Can other tokens ever get a vote?
The framework actually allows the DAO to decide that later via a JIP. So potentially yes, but right now it's just JTO.
Okay. So JTO holders have the power. What specifically can they vote on? What's under their control?
Quite a lot, actually. They manage the realm's treasury, so funding grants, incentives, that sort of thing. They decide how protocol fees are split up. They set stake pool fees. They can even adjust certain on-chain parameters of the Jito network itself.
Wow, that's pretty broad. Covers the economics and some core functions.
It does. It gives token holders real influence over the network's direction and its financial model.
Now, what if the community decides these rules, the 3-day vote, the 3% threshold, whatever, aren't working well? Can they change the rules themselves?
Absolutely. And that's key to decentralization, right? The ability to evolve. The entire process, JIP steps, voting times, thresholds, even who gets to vote, all of it can be changed through a JIP and a token holder vote.
So the community governs the governance itself.
Exactly. The initial rules are just the starting point.
Okay, practical question. What if you get two proposals trying to do opposite things at the same time? Or someone proposes something that was just rejected?
Good question. The system tries to handle that. If a proposal conflicts directly with one already being voted on, the second one usually waits until the first is finished. Avoids contradictory outcomes.
Makes sense.
And if a proposal is basically the same as one that just failed, or directly contradicts one that just passed, you generally can't bring it up again for 3 months.
A cooling off period.
Yeah, stops endless repeating of the same debates and lets decisions actually stick for a bit.
Seems sensible. So we know how JIPs get approved. How are they actually implemented? You mentioned on-chain versus off-chain.
Right. On-chain stuff, code changes, can often be executed directly through the Realms interface by authorized parties once the vote passes the delay. Pretty quick.
And off-chain.
Things needing foundation action, like sending funds from the treasury or signing an agreement, fall to the foundation directors or the administrator. They carry out the DAO's decision, making sure it aligns with the foundation's rules.
Is there any way the foundation can block a past JIP?
There is a mechanism for the directors to veto, but it's expected to be used sparingly mainly for legal reasons or if a proposal fundamentally conflicts with the foundation's purpose. If they do veto, they have to announce it publicly and explain why within 2 weeks.
Okay, accountability there too. Now let's talk about this other group, the Security Council. Sound important?
Very important. It's appointed by the foundation directors, minimum of 5 members. Their main job is to act fast in emergencies.
Emergencies like what?
Think major security breaches, network attacks, situations where waiting for a full JIP vote would be too slow and potentially disastrous. They can bypass the normal process to protect the foundation, the DAO, the network, users, assets.
So they have special powers. What can they do in an emergency?
They have a significant power. They can veto a JIP if they believe it violates the core documents, breaks the law, or is seriously harmful to the foundation or DAO.
That's a big power. How do you stop that from being misused?
That's crucial. The rules stress this is only for genuine security emergencies, critical vulnerabilities, threats to funds, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And transparency is mandatory. After any emergency action, they must release a report explaining what happened, what they did, and why.
And can the DAO push back?
Yes, the DAO, through a normal JIP vote, can limit or even remove the Security Council's emergency powers entirely. Ultimate control still rests with the token holders.
So checks and balances. Fast action when needed, but community oversight.
Precisely.
Does the Security Council do anything else besides emergencies?
Yes, they have non-emergency roles too. They often handle the implementation of approved JIPs related to technical stuff, protocol upgrades, managing Jito validator delegations, things like that. Basically, executing the DAO's technical decisions.
And wasn't there something about their role early on, in the first few months?
Yes. For the first 6 months after the DAO launched, they had a temporary ability to handle some routine operational things directly.
Like what?
Things like treasury transfers for growth initiatives, small payments up to 5 million JTO, and technical upgrades. It was meant to keep things running smoothly while the DAO governance process got up to speed.
Sort of temporary operational bootstrap.
Exactly. And all those actions still had to be reported on the forum for transparency.
Okay. How does this council actually operate? Do they have regular meetings?
They do. Regular meetings are meant to happen every 4 weeks, or more if needed. They need at least 3 members present for a quorum to make decisions.
Can others attend?
Foundation reps can attend, but don't count for quorum. They can also invite outside observers if they sign an NDA and the council votes to allow it. This is where they typically discuss and vote on JIPs within their scope.
How do they actually review the JIPs? Is there a process?
Yeah, the specifics are in a DAO administrative work instruction document available publicly. Members can also bring up proposals outside meetings in writing, discuss them, disclose conflicts. But any member can ask to push it to a full regular meeting.
And are notes taken?
Published. Your notes are taken, yes.
Huh?
But sensitive stuff might be excluded, like personal finances, unpatched security flaws, NDA details, compensation. After review, the notes are generally shared publicly.
Trying to be open while protecting sensitive info. Makes sense. Any other meeting types?
They have advisory meetings, more informal, smaller groups, no quorum needed, just for discussion or brainstorming. Notes might or might not be published.
And emergency meetings.
Right, for those immediate threats. No notice needed, no quorum. Just act. And because of the sensitivity, notes aren't published until the threat is over. Each member gets 1 vote in those situations.
Got it. One last thing on the council. How are they paid?
The initial setup is $1,000 per member, paid in USDC or equivalent JTO based on a 7-day average price.
And can that change?
Yes, but only if the JTO token holders approve it via a standard vote. The DAO controls their compensation too.
Okay, wow. That covers a lot of ground. From an idea on a forum to a potential emergency veto by the Security Council, it feels pretty well thought out.
It does seem like a comprehensive structure, yeah. They've clearly tried to balance community control through the JIPs and token voting with the need for stability and rapid response via the Security Council.
Those checks and balances seem key, and the legal framework, the transparency requirements.
Right. And remember, as we said, none of this is set in stone. The whole system is designed to be changed by the community itself through JIPs.
Which really puts the power ultimately with the JTO holders.
It does. Which leads to the bigger question, maybe for you listening. What does a model like this mean for blockchain projects generally, for Web3?
Yeah, how might this specific structure, the community focus, the Security Council backstop shape Jito's future and its role in the whole Solana picture?
It's definitely something to think about. And if you want to really get into the weeds, we recommend checking out the actual constitution, bylaws, all those documents. We'll link them in the show notes. It's worth exploring to form your own view on this whole experiment in decentralized governance.